Picture a quiet Sunday. Nothing is wrong, nobody is in pain, and there isn't a single crisis to solve. Instead of peace, you feel a strange static under your skin. You start tidying. You check on people. You ask your partner 3 times if they're sure they're entirely fine. When there is absolutely nothing to fix, the oldest fear you have starts tapping on the glass. Without a job to do, are you still wanted in this room? It's a quiet tell most of us miss. What you keep calling selfless devotion might actually be management. Clinicians draw a sharp line between caregiving and caretaking. Caregiving flows from a place of want. You help because you choose to, and you could walk away from the situation without feeling like the floor is about to give way beneath you. Caretaking flows from compulsion. You help because if you don't, a quiet dread starts to climb. Underneath that dread sits a very old belief. As long as I am completely indispensable, I cannot be discarded. So you get to work. You answer for your partner. You smooth over every consequence before it can land on them. You hand them the 5-step life plan they never asked for. Read that behavior closely and notice whose needs actually sit at the center. The fixing was never strictly about them. Management is control with a gentle face, a way for you to re-earn your welcome, shift after shift, so it never gets revoked. That static under your skin has a history. It usually starts with a kid who learned to read a room before they could read a book, tracking the moods of overwhelmed or absent adults the way a sailor tracks weather. This vector diagram illustrates parentification. The traditional family structure is inverted. A smaller child node structurally supports the larger adult nodes above it. Bowlby called this compulsive caregiving, love expressed as relentless, anxious tending to keep those larger nodes from leaving. Somewhere in that early environment, a small person did the math. They realized their own needs were one more storm the house couldn't afford. If they shrank those needs down and kept everyone else calm, they got to stay safe, and they usually got praised for it. What a mature kid, so helpful, so easy. But what a child hears in that praise is a rule that calcifies for life. I am loved for what I manage, not for who I am. Survival reflexes don't retire when you grow up. They just go hunting for new people to practice on. The adult fixer doesn't seek out chaos on purpose. They unconsciously seek out partners who come with a project attached, someone who can't hold a job or needs constant emotional regulation. A project has instructions. It tells you exactly where you are needed. This split-screen visualization of a nervous system shows the misfire fighting that choice. On the left, a flat, steady baseline from a calm partner triggers a flashing danger alert. It registers as the suspenseful quiet before something goes wrong. On the right, a chaotic, spiking waveform triggers a safe tag. Your body isn't recognizing romantic chemistry. It's recognizing the familiar. This creates a quiet tragedy in the living room. To you, jumping in to solve your partner's bad mood feels like deep, devoted love. To your partner, it feels like being handled, managed, and turned into an objective. The harder you manage, the less they reach for you. After all, who reaches for a hand that arrives before they've even started to fall? The fixer ends up starving at a table they set themselves, culminating in an isolated, furious burnout. You probably think your deepest fear is being left. It isn't. Being left is a story you already know cold. You have an entire nervous system built to survive it. The thing that genuinely terrifies the fixer is the exact opposite. It's someone looking at you on an unremarkable Tuesday when your hands are completely empty, you have no crisis to offer up as your entry fee, and they stay anyway. That realization triggers an immense grief. If someone can love you while you do absolutely nothing, it means the decades of endless overgiving, the years of filing yourself down to fit, none of it was actually the thing that made you lovable. So you find another project. Chronic management is a shield. It keeps you safely in control, always the provider, and one careful step removed from the terrifying vulnerability of real intimacy. The way out is smaller and far more frightening than simply caring less. It's choosing to let one single thing go unfixed. Let a partner's bad day just be theirs, and stay in the room anyway. sit inside the silence without reaching for a tool. Feel that old, itchy static rise up under your skin, hissing at you to do something, to earn your place. And then, don't. When someone does try to care for you, when they bring you a cup of coffee you didn't ask for, practice the single hardest skill for the fixer. Don't deflect it. Just say, thank you, and let it land. Love needs two people with their hands free. As long as yours are full of somebody else's crisis, there is simply nowhere for their care to land. You did not love wrong. You loved the only way that ever kept you safe. Being needed is what got you through childhood, but letting yourself be known is the thing that finally gets you home.